so worthy to be praised. We can't thank him enough. We can't give him enough adoration for all that he's doing with us. And I know, we're dealing with some trying times with the pandemic. And I want to say to us, you know, during this time, for us not to say, well, God gave us 5 senses. Yeah, God gave us 5 senses. But when we look at our 5 senses that God gave us, it has nothing to do with thinking. It has to do with hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, and being able to speak. Our faith can be called into question, particularly when we say, my faith has me being cautious and being doing the things that God would expect me to do. So I say to us, church family, and those on Facebook, we got to trust God during these difficult times and ever lean on Him and depend on Him during this time. Good afternoon, everyone, and I still hear some that are still joining in. We thank God for you for today. Daniel 3 is our discussion topic, what faith looks like under fire. We'll continue that in our time together today. Let us go to God in prayer, then we'll get started. Gracious God, our Father, we come before you, Master, with thanksgiving in our hearts. So much thanksgiving in our hearts for what you have done. You woke us this morning. You clothed us in our right mind. We have a reasonable portion of strength, and things are well with us as they are. So, God, we have to brag on you for your grace, your mercy, your awesomeness. God, we can't express our gratitude of thanksgiving towards what you have done for us, how you've been our provider, how you've been our protector, particularly in these turbulent times that we're living in. God, you're the author and finisher of our faith. You're so awesome, and we know you make no mistakes. And so, God, this is a time that we're dealing with that moves us or should move us closer to you in our prayer life, in our fasting, in our study life, in our meditating on your goodness. And God, as we bow in prayer, we want to lift those who are sick up. We want to lift Sister Joanne Cole up in prayer. God, as she's in the hospital, and we pray that all will be well with her, not only her, but others who are in the hospital, who are being attended to by doctors and nurses right now. God, we pray that you'll speak to their hearts, give them wisdom and compassion during this time, God, and move them on back to recovery. Then we pray for our senior members, God. We pray for all the members of St. John right now, wherever they may be. God, we lift Sister Earlene Translin and her family up as they travel to Michigan and made it safe. God, we pray that you continue to give them strength as they're getting ready for a transitioning, laying to rest their loved one. Give the family strength, give them traveling grace and mercy. Not only them, God, but all those that are dealing with bereavement right now, whoever they are throughout this community, and those who are dealing with COVID-19, who have lost loved ones. God, we pray for them right now. Pray that you give them strength right now. But it's quite difficult, and God, it is very hard. But we know you hadn't brought us this far to leave us. We know you hadn't brought us this far to forsake us. And so, God, we're going to continue to hold fast, keep on leaning and depending upon you, God, because without you, God, we acknowledge we are nothing. But with you, we can stand the test of time, God. You know, God, that trials come not to make us weak, but God, trials come to make us strong. And when we get to the other side, God, we're going to be so much stronger. We're going to be so much wiser and better, having dealt with the things that we've dealt with thus far. But God, we won't complain. And we're going to say thank you anyhow. We're going to praise your name anyhow, because God, you are worthy to be praised. You are so awesome, and you're so wonderful. God, we can't come up with enough adjective to describe you, God, to thank you for what you're doing. God, we thank you for this time of study. We thank you for your people. who are on Facebook. We thank you for those who are listening on conference call. Bless us in our time together. God, we love you. We adore you. Speak to us today, God. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, again, good to hear everyone, and we pray everyone is safe and doing the things that have been asked of you to do during this time. All right, so, Reverend Dismute. Reverend, good to have you on again this week. God bless you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you tuning on with us. God bless you. Our homework assignment. We had homework assignments since birthday, and I know you have done your homework, and we will ask what does those Hebrew names, what does those Hebrew names mean? What was Daniel's Hebrew name? That's a question. And those on Facebook, you can type it in. Brother Steph will tell you who's doing the typing. Sister Angela, I know you're on Facebook, so I want to hear your answer. Okay. She has it. And here's what I say, brother and sister, in pronouncing those Hebrew names. It depends on who taught you English as to pronunciation. All right. Now, what did Belshazzar mean? Who? God is. Okay. Sister Angela, I ain't heard from you. I'm not expecting a laugh. I'm expecting a reply on Facebook. Who? Okay. God is my judge. Okay. Brother Bruce has lost his, misplaced his. Sometimes you have to go back and refresh yourself before we get to time. All right, so Belshazzar. All right, Hananiah. What does that name mean? Okay. Yahweh is gracious. Right. Sister Angela. Sister Erlene. Sister Erlene. Hananiah, what does it mean? Sister Erlene, God? Right. The Lord is gracious. Now remember we're dealing with their Hebrew name, which means that's their original name, right? Right? We're dealing with their original name, okay? All right, Mishael. What does Mishael mean? No, we're not dealing with the Babylonian name. We're dealing with the Hebrew name, Mishael. What does that mean? Who is like who? What did you say, sister? Who is like God? Sister Mildred? Michelle. The mighty one, okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sister Angela? Brother Savoy? You left him in Tennessee. You left him in Tennessee. That's a good one. Okay, all right. All right. Ezra. Ezra, man. Uh-huh. I hear you, Sister Lady. Anybody else? So it's important that, and I guess, Sister Burke, you in, why do we have to look up these names? It's important because we already know the story, right? We've had Sunday school lessons, we've had sermon, we know the story, right? Right? But there's something else that goes along with the story, the individuals, who they were. Now, why were their names changed from the Hebrew names to the Babylonian names? Because they was in a different area? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so go to verse 46. Go to chapter 2 and verse 46. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everybody there? Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face, prostrate before Daniel, and commanded that they should present an offering and incense to him. The king answered Daniel and said, truly your God is the God of gods, the Lord of kings, and the revealer of secrets, since you can reveal this secret. Verse 48, then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief administrator over all the wise men of Babylon. Also, Daniel petitioned the king to set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So with this promotion, the king couldn't promote them because they're they're Hebrew, Jewish meaning, right? And in Babylon, they're not Jews. That is ruling here. This is what we consider Gentiles, right? So they're heathens, right? So in order for them to be placed in these seats, they couldn't be placed in these BC. They've been promoted, but they couldn't carry with them their Hebrew Jewish names. They had to identify with where they were, and they were given high positions in battle, right? So their names were changed because of their positions, right? Right? Are you with me? Okay. Y'all a little slow to respond. All right, so I said last week, and I was studying, and I said to you last week that the king reigned for 40 years. In researching, his reign was from 605 to 562 BC. And you understand that particularly in BC, you count down. So that's something closer, closer to 50 than 40. So he reigned 40 plus years, or it's safe to say that he reigned for over 40 years, not just saying 40 years. So I want to make sure I clarified that when I said that last week. But his reign was from 605 BC to 562 BC, and the BC stands before Christ. And then when Christ comes, we say AD, where is instead of counting down, we count up. All right. All right. So let's jump back into where we were last week. Now, we did talk about how there's a situation that's been presented to these three men, and the situation that's been presented to them calls for either conforming or transforming, right? Now, they're not in Jerusalem, right? They're away from Jerusalem, right? So, really and truly, being away from Jerusalem, who is looking at them? Or who is really noticing the worship or whatever? It's kind of like when the cat's away, we say, what does the mouse do? Well, they sing to play. Yeah. So they're away from home in essence, right? So you would think being away from home, that gives me freedom to do whatever I want to do, you know? But that's not the case, because God sees all, God knows all, right? And he said to them in the commandments that thou shalt have no other what?
No other God before me.
No other God before me. Mm-hmm. No other God before me. And so whenever we place something before capital G-O-D, that upsets him. Right?
Yes, it does.
And so here in our study, we see the tension that happens in verse 5 because they're asked to do something. Well, they're not asked yet, but this is what's been in place. The king is set up this statue of himself, right? Mm-hmm. And this statue is considered an idol, right? Mm-hmm. And the people obeyed in Babylon because they were fearful of what would happen to them. But there were three who didn't obey. Right? Mm-hmm. So what is this? By them not obeying, what does that say? They're not putting in God before him. So, okay. So now in Jerusalem, you worship Yahweh. In Babylon, you still worship Yahweh. But the king here says that's not the case. You're going to worship this image. And if you don't worship this image, it's going to be consequences. So this happened. If you write it, this is what when you talk about. When you talk about a test of submission. A test of submission. So as you and I, as we're dealing with COVID-19, it puts us in a position. And in the position that it puts us in, it gives us a choice. Remember we talked about this last week. At some point or another, our faith is going to have to say who we are because we're going to be put in a situation. And when we're put in a situation, it's going to mean, are we trusting God or are we trusting ourselves? So there's a test of submission because the image is the first thing that has been asked, that goes against what God said. And whenever something goes against what God said, there's a problem, right? So there's a test of submission. And the test of submission is the image. There's an image that the king has set up that he wants them to comply with along with everybody else. Now, and then in complying with this, it moves to another test, not only the image, but the act of worship. This worship and bowing down and being prostrate and worshiping this image definitely is defiance of what God is saying. And what he's saying in Deuteronomy 6, 4, and 5, as well as Exodus 2, 3 through 5, then listen, I am God. I am a jealous God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not even worship anyone other than me. So the test of submission is this image that's set up. The test of submission is also this act of worship. They're going to actually get up, lay down, brother, and worship. And that becomes a real major problem. So their faith has to say something. Move down to verse number 8. Their faith had to say something. Therefore, at the time, certain Chaldeans came forward and accused the Jews. They spoke and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, the flute, the harp, the lyre, the psaltery, and symphony, with all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the gold image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into the midst of a burning, fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. These men, O king, have not paid due regard to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the gold image which you have set up. Now, so the test of submission was this image. There was an act of the test of the submission. Because the king said, here's what you're to do. And if you don't do it, here's what's going to happen to you. So you got to make a choice. And what choice are you going to make? The choice to obey the king and to go along with the crowd, or to obey God and trust in God. What's the choice? Well, we know this story. We know what the choice was. We know what they decided to do. But it's something I need us to see. The other people bowed down and worshiped. Even in verse 7, it says all the people, nations, and languages fell down. That means things that were Jews who conformed, right? They bowed down. They conformed because they didn't want to deal with the consequences. You know, sometimes, brothers and sisters, our faith puts us in a fire. And when our faith puts us in a fire, in a situation, we have to respond. There's two ways we can respond. There's the right way and there's the wrong way. Now, what's the right way? God's way. Trust God, right? Now, in saying God's way and trusting God, does it mean you're going to have all the answers? So how do I navigate my life when I don't have all the answers, but I'm trusting God? Pray and walk by faith. Is that easy? Is that easy? It's going to come with some consequences. So the question becomes then, brothers and sisters, how do we deal with those consequences? How are we going to have those consequences? So we say it like this. We say, if God brings us to, he'll do what?
He'll bring us through.
He'll bring us through. Now, I think it's for us and our human nature, we just want answers, don't we? We just want answers, you know. It's like, you know, I'll do this and go into this unknown territory if I know how things are going to be. It's like for a person who can't swim, when you go to the ocean, if you like me, you're going to stay in the part where your feet are still in the sand, right? You're not going to go where your feet start coming off the sand. You can't swim. It's a little fear factor. Sometimes that's the way we act. Because of the unknown, the uncertain, we're afraid to go there. But, you know, during this COVID-19, there are several things that, you know, there are many things that we've never seen before, right? There's so many things that's going on that we've never, and we can't really begin to wrap our mind around it or really understand it. We just got to trust God. And it's difficult because not having the answers and all the things of normalcy. See, and another piece that we got to wrap our minds around, brothers and sisters, is what we've known as normalcy and the way we've conducted ourselves over the years. Things are rapidly changing, particularly with this COVID-19. Things are going to change. The way we conduct our services and everything, it's going to change through this, brothers and sisters. We got to begin to wrap our minds around that. But our faith doesn't change. Our faith gets stronger. Because we say, okay, God, we trust in you. I don't understand, you know, the social distancing. I will be embraced. And because, you know, I know the word God said, well, greet one another with a holy kiss. You know, and that's not the case. So what we got to do? We got to trust God. We got to make adjustments. And the adjustments are not going to be easy. There's a lot of not understanding, and we're going to have a lot of questions. But instead of raising a lot of questions, we just got to trust God. The Hebrew men are showing us that their faith is under fire, but in the midst of their faith being under fire, they were trusting God. Now, nowhere in this narrative will you find where they ask God, well, what is it going to look like by, you know, what is in it for us? How are we going to come out? How are we going to look? How are you going to fix this? See, many times, brothers and sisters, we want God to remove us from the place of trial, right? We want God to remove us from the place of trial, move this away. But many times, God doesn't remove us from the place of fire because he wants to work on the person. And see, COVID-19 is a good way that God is going to work on all of us, because it should, if it hadn't yet, change the way our thinking is. Change our heart. Cause us to be more compassionate. Cause us to be more loving. And most importantly, drive us to praying more. Drive us to studying more. What is that doing? Drawing us closer to God so that we can transform. And see, that's what COVID-19 is. It's not for us to conform, but to be transformed in the midst of it. We're not going to move it away. He can't move it away. We're not going to move it away. He wants to transform us right in this pandemic. And the sad thing is to see somebody who's not being transformed. How could you not? How could you not? Now, how could you go into COVID-19 mean, malicious, low down, conniving, and all these things, and remain the same? When people have lost, people have died, So there must be some transforming, right? So the test of submission is this image, right? And then there's this call to worship. There's this call to worship, but then the act of worship is really the test of submission, because somebody can say, this is what I want you to do, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it. But the actual act of worship is a test of submission, a test of whether you're going to conform or you're going to be transformed. So the news gets back to the king, what has happened? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego have paid the king no regard. And this is what the word that gets back to the king. Now you got to remember that in chapter 2, the king takes a liking to Daniel and his friends, especially Daniel, because Daniel was the only one that interpreted the dream. So he takes this special interest in them, promotes them in Babylon. These Hebrews who have been promoted in a paganist society, Gentile-infested area, they've been promoted. Now, what happens with promotion? Responsibility. We got to remember something, brothers and sisters. Every time there is a promotion comes with some stuff. I mean, you just get promoted. And that's why we got to be careful what we ask God for. But I think, and God already knows what we can handle and what we can't handle anyway. But a lot of things we ask God for, we're not even ready for, because it comes with a price. They've been promoted. They didn't know that the king was getting ready to set up when they were getting ready to, when they were promoted, that the king was getting ready to do this. But now that they have this position, now this has come up. Now they got to deal with this situation. And what they're going to do with it? Either handle the situation, or the situation is going to handle them. Either conform to the situation or be transformed in the situation.
Find out where the loyalty is.
Or find out what was that?
Where the loyalty is. Who they're loyal to.
Find out where their loyalty is. Find out whose side they're really on. Right. And what better place to find out whose side you on than in a pandemic?
There you go.
What better time to find out who you serving than in a pandemic? What better time to find out what these men were made of was in the time that their faith was put on the fire. So they didn't bow down to worship. Look at verse 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar, enraged and fury, gave the command to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the gold image which I've set up? And he asked him a question. Now, remember, this is the kingdom. And I don't know how many instances we have, and it's something that I'll look up. How many instances does the king raise questions rather than going on and passing judgment? Because the king has already spoken and said, here's the law. Here's what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
So why would he come along again and ask questions, why aren't you doing it? Usually, you didn't do it, here comes the penalty.
That's the penalty.
But he calls him in. And he asks him a question. Why do you think he does that? Somebody said that he liked him. So when you like somebody, what does that mean? You give them a little more favor, won't you? You give them special treatment. What happens when you don't like somebody? And all costs, Sister Joy. So he calls them in, right? So he calls them in, and he said, you know, is this true, right? And he calls them in, I believe, because he liked it. I believe, because he likes it. And when you like somebody, you tend to overlook some stuff.
You give them the benefit of the doubt. You give them the benefit of the doubt.
Now you hear me say this all the time, don't you? That when you love someone, they can't do no wrong.
That's right.
But when you don't love them, they can't do no right. So it makes a difference. So obviously there has to be some type of feeling that the king has for them, because he calls them in and does a questioning and asks them, is it true? And so what does he do? Notice verse 15. Now if you are ready at the time you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the harp, the lyre, the psaltery, and symphony, with all kind of music, and you fall down and worship the image which I've made good. But if you do not worship, you will be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hand? So he raised this question to him, why haven't you done it? And then he goes ahead and gives them another chance. Right? But now, here is where, and I told you this last week, that the king is stuck on himself. Because remember, during this reign, up until this point, this dude has never lost a battle. Never. He was known for being a brilliant military strategist. Everybody looked up to him. King Nebuchadnezzar, the great King Nebuchadnezzar. But now here's where his ego gets in the way. Because at the end of verse 15, it's like he did raise a question. After he makes the statement of that if you don't do this, you're going to be placed in the burning fire furnace. He says, and who, lowercase g, God will deliver you from my hands. Y'all see that? he's really stuck on himself because of things that has went on that makes him make this statement. Who will deliver you from my hands? Who does he think he is?
A man that doesn't know defeat.
A man that doesn't know defeat. I like that, brother. What happens when you never experience defeat in your life?
Just don't know what it is to lose. You get stuck on yourself.
Stuck on yourself. You're going to do everything in your what? You're going to do everything possible to keep it the way that it is. And that means hooking and crooking and everything else. You're going to do that, right?
That's right.
Why? Because you never experienced defeat. That's like for us, brothers and sisters, when we never, as a believer, when you never experience a triumph, when you never experience your back being up against the wall, when you never experience having a time to not be able to do the things that you don't do, that's a trying situation. But it's not the situation, it's how am I going to handle it? How am I going to respond? Nebuchadnezzar gets a big L, right? He gets a big L. He gets a big L. He doesn't even know, saints, he doesn't even know that God is exposing him in the midst of all this. He doesn't even know. See, God uses the enemy in many instances, and that's why, we never know what God is up to in our lives when we have our enemies that are really giving us the blues. God will use our enemy. And our enemy think they got it going on, but it's just only momentarily. So Nebuchadnezzar exposed his hand because he said, what God will deliver you from my hand? What's so special about your hand? Well, number one, he's never seen defeat.
Never seen defeat.
Number two, military and his strategy and how he's orchestrated things, he's been brilliant at it. He got everything at his disposal. He has the power. He has it all. So he feels like his hands are mighty hands. And that's where he really gets the big L, because he doesn't recognize, although he says it in chapter 2, but his action doesn't speak so in chapter 3. He doesn't recognize the power of God. That's number one. And then number two, he's messing with God with me. And that's a danger when you mess with God, folks.
Amen.
Some people don't believe that.
Amen.
Some people don't believe that. Some people believe that their job is to do all that they can in hurting someone instead of helping someone. But the problem is he's messing with God's meaning. All right, look at verse 19. Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fear. And the expression on his face, he charged towards Shadrach. Now, why does he do this? Why does he do this? Why does he have this expression on his face? Why does he have this fear? We need to back up a little bit, don't we? Yeah, we ain't got that far yet, Professor Boyd. Yeah, we ain't got that far. Go back to why does he have this fear? Why does he have? Go back up to verse 17, and that's it. If this is the case, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will do what?
He'll deliver us
from your hand, O king. Now that explains why this dude is so mad in verse 19.
That's right.
Because in verse, what did you say, Brother Bruce? Oh, what, who was that was saying? Okay. All right. So we understand why this dude is so full of fear in verse 19, because remember, he just got through speaking in verse 15 by raising the question at the end, who will deliver you from my hand? Now they say that the God whom we serve will deliver us from your hand. Now what, let's speak of. What's that, brother?
So that's giving him a challenge that he ain't never had nobody present to him before.
See, and Brother Steph just brought something out. The king has been met with a challenge that he's never seen before. Who has been able to escape Nebuchadnezzar's hand? Nobody. And remember, it was God that used him, that carried the children away captive in the first place. God did that, not Nebuchadnezzar. He thought that he did.
No, he was there.
Here again, God will use our enemy.
That's right.
And he's using him, because remember in Jeremiah 29 that God spoke to the prophet to speak to the people, that I'm the one who caused you to be carried away captive into Babylon, not Nebuchadnezzar. I'm the one who's done this. And the reason that they got to Babylon in the first place, why did they get to Babylon in the first place? They weren't acting right. What did they do? They've been disobedient. And so Babylon represents punishment for their disobedience. So he's mad, right? He's burning hot. And here's what he says to them, and in verse 19. And commanded that the heat of the furnace be turned 7 times more than it usually is. Here's some kind of man. Because what has he been faced with? He's been faced with a challenge that he's never been faced before. No one has told him that their God will deliver them from his hand. He said, who can deliver you from my hand? That's what he said. But then they come back and say, listen, we will not answer you in this matter. We're not going to bow down. We're not going to bend. And we ain't worried about burning. That's what they say. They stood on their faith. And this is a great picture of what faith looks like under fire. Because they have a choice. The choice is they could conform. That means what? Bow down. Because this is the test of submission. This image. This worship. Right? This is the test of this submission that they were faced with. God said, listen, you should have no other God before me. Do not worship carved images. And they complied with that. So they did conform. They're going to be transformed. And that's what we have to do during COVID-19, brothers and sisters. And we'll get ready to close. During this pandemic, we can't conform. We have to be transformed. So at the beginning of COVID-19, and whenever we move, and I know right now they're saying things are going to open up, but it's just too early. It's too soon. There were several hundred people tested last week, and they don't even have the results back from that just in Madison County. So you know the numbers in Madison County are still going to raise. And it's just too soon for us to just go back and act like everything is normal. We can't do that, Saint. So we can't do that. It's too soon. Well, you say, well, where's I? And when I came on, that's what I was talking about. You know, we say, well, you know, God gave me senses. You know, but when you think about the senses, it has nothing to do with thinking. So we got to look at reality, brothers and sisters. What's the reality? And that's where our faith goes, in reality. This is the situation that we are faced with, But at the same time, we have to look at it and trust God, and we got to look out for the whole, it's a bigger picture. That's what we got to get our minds wrapped around. It's a bigger picture. Everybody is involved in the picture, and we want everybody to be well and healthy, and we want to do the things for the betterment of everybody. So we can't, just because the 24th they opening things up, we just can't say, all right, church is back to normal. We can't do that.